G'day guys, it's Cece, and today we're starting off a new series of redesigning old TV shows to modernizing them. And our first contestant is Blue's Clues. Personally, a show that holds a really special place in my heart. This is a show that I watched as a kid and was obsessed with. Only a couple years ago, I actually found out that Blue is a female. I think a lot of people were shocked by that, but nonetheless, the show was absolutely amazing, so I'm honored to be able to have this as the first of the series. Now, how I started off here was by researching existing dog cartoon shows for kids and different dog breeds. I was also on a chat with a friend at the time who found on a subreddit that a lot of people believed that she was originally supposed to be a beagle, so that's what I focused on when finding reference images for the first sketch ideas. I also found what her age was supposed to be, which apparently is 5 months in the old one, but in the new 3D series that they have on Nickelodeon, I believe she's supposed to be 6 years old. So what I did here is I collected a bunch of things to make a little mood board and started sketching out things that I found that were related, different eye shapes and things like that, and then started messing around with just sketches of how I could interpret Blue in a new modernized form. Now, I really wanted to keep the integrity of this character. As I've said before, she holds a special place in my heart. The whole show does, so I want to make sure that she's still her. Part of that is, unfortunately, the shape, which in cartoons these days for kids is something that's actually gone quite missing. So simplifying the design more to resemble the realism of a dog is what I tried to focus my things on. So once I sketched out a few things that I was happy with, I started sketching the end result, or playing around with what I wanted to do with this. This was a bit difficult, as seems that it was supposed to be a puppy or a dog of sorts, and of course I wanted to do her justice, which is kind of hard to do because in my opinion she's already perfect. Now, some things to keep in mind here when I was redesigning her was the fact that she would be 2D animated. I didn't want to redesign Steve because I still like the live action appeal to that, having a live action person in it as well as an animated cartoon dog. So you got to keep in mind of simplifying things, how the animators are going to animate her. So I tried to keep her shapes simple, clean, and easy to replicate, whether they rig it or they do it frame by frame. So I tried to make sure that that was all clean as possible. I find a lot of dogs in cartoons these days have eyebrows. I didn't want to give her the natural human eyebrow. I find that kind of looks odd on some characters, and I thought that the dotted or circle eyebrows would work well since she is covered in about 9 or 10 spots. I decided to lean towards more the beagle side when redoing her ears, making that natural flop on the side instead of the big lanky bulbs that she had originally. This was just to keep more to the original beagle design so that you can kind of get a feel for that. On the wiki it says that she's just a dog. There's no proper species that she's supposed to be, but after looking around I came to the conclusion that she'd probably suit best as a beagle. As reference, I looked at some new cartoon kids shows like Pound Puppies, I believe, is one in America, and a new one we have here in Australia called Bluey. This is where I drew the inspiration for the anatomy and the pose and the whole look and feel of the artwork, hopefully capturing the modern day vibe of kids' cartoons. I personally miss how creative new kids shows have gotten. They used to be so original and wacky and out there, with Teletubbies and Boo Bars trying anything and everything. And these days, a lot of them seem to be remix or plain things or, just a stamp staple thing that they know will rack in a lot of money. So Blue's Clues was one of those shows, in my opinion, that really did jump outside the box for the 3 to 5 year old market, and something that I think that really stood out to me as a good creative new children's show. Now, I am aware that they already have redesigned this series. They've made it 3D, and I believe it's on Nickelodeon Junior. I could be wrong. And they are 3D now, and they've gone through, I think, in total 4 or 5 different people. Steve was the OG. I miss him to pieces. I know he went to quote-unquote college for, I think, a tic-tac-toe diploma or a scholarship or something, which I still find extremely funny to this day. But yeah, I know they've redone that. And from what it looks like, the little bits that I've watched, I actually think they have kept most of the integrity of it. That being said, I have not watched a complete episode or anything like that, just bits and pieces. So I can't say for sure. Blue's Clues for me, I think, was one of those shows that helped me get into my creative side and wanting to draw. The fact that Steve had the notepad and the whole world was quite creative and colourful, and there were flats and 3Ds and things, you know, there was the paw prints, all the different colours, I think really helped unlock a lot of kids' artistic potential at that age. So I really admire the show for that reason. I find from what I've seen that a lot of modern cartoons and shows these days, they seem to be quite flat and boring, or just centered around trying to make money and bringing out toys and merchandise. And I never found that Blue's Clues was one of those. Maybe that's just me, or how young I was, or the age and the mindset that I had. But I never found that it was one of those types of shows. So I do really miss the innocence of that. So I tried my best to keep the integrity of this piece and this character, but there's not so much you can do when a lot of modern cartoons are centered around being simple and quick and easy to reproduce. I would like to think that this modern day version of the show still kept the original sounds that Blue made. Instead of talking, she used to make these kind of little bibble high-pitched sounds, as I would describe it, and I really think that gave her character, instead of just giving her a normal voice as a lot of cartoons have these days, and kind of speaking her through Steve, using Steve as the character to channel that. Now, as we get into colour here, I want to touch on the fact why I didn't really change the colour palette that much. I think that the original colours of the show are fantastic. I don't think they're too bright, I don't think they're too saturated, I don't think they're too contrasty. So it's basically her original palette, just a little bit bass boosted in a sense. It's just a bit brighter, and in my opinion, a tiny bit more saturated, just to give more of a pop to the character so that she can stand out on the backgrounds, which I would assume would still be the same bright and colourful fun that it originally was when I watched it as a kid. I was going to change her spots to a more organic shape of a natural beagle or a dog, but I ended up going with the straight normal circles, just for the fact that this is going to be animated, like I said before, and reproduced. So you want things that can be easily replicated or not obvious when something is messed up during the animation or process of animation throughout the show. One of the final touches I did to this image before completing it was giving the whole drawings black line art to a dark blue. The fact that I did this ties back in with the lineless artwork of the original, and I kind of hoped to keep that, but also the line art of the animation. A quick thanks to everyone who voted for this poll on my Patreon. There was a public poll there. If you guys ever want to vote for upcoming videos, there'll be a link in the description. But for now, I want to take this opportunity to thank my current Patreons, Travis75 and Sour Power. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting me. The support really helps me continue doing this and producing things for you guys that you will really enjoy in the end. So if you guys want to support me, there's a link in the description for my Patreon, which is a fantastic way that you can get your word in on the next videos, the upcoming videos, work in progresses, sketches, artwork, things like that. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.